So it's a very competitive field of 7 going forward for this one. You see Mystic Dan there for McPeak. So to rattle enroll on Saturday afternoon, it looks to be an absolute blockbuster from Churchill Downs.
And I'm really proud of Mystic Dan for getting back on the beam because, you know, after he won the Derby, things went sideways. He didn't fire in the Belmont. He didn't fire in the Malibu. He was basically last in the Pegasus. But here we are going back to the Blame Stakes where he takes the lead here in this race in Mystic Dan fashion, holding to the rail and getting the victory with Brian Hernandez Jr., who unfortunately is not going to be able to have this mount this weekend. He got banged up pretty good. We saw there he had some fractured ribs and among other things. So he will be able to mend in time, but not in time to get to Mystic Dan here this weekend. So Kenny's going to have to be looking for a new rider for Mystic Dan, and hopefully they like riding the rail.
And fair to say, usually the form line's pretty strong out of the Kentucky Derby. So let's take a look at the second act. Kentucky Derby winners with later graded or group wins since 2003. Mystic Dan, we highlighted from last year, found success in the Blame, certainly loves running on this particular ballpark.
And to be honest, the list is not as long as you thought it'd be. I mean, this is just to win another graded as an older horse for a Derby winner. You got to give so much to win the Derby, and a lot of times, of course, you're not even going to run at 4-year-old if you are a Derby champion. So Mystic Dan, I thought those were two pretty good fourth-place efforts. I'm a little surprised, Dubsy. After he ran fourth in the Arlington Million, I thought they might stay on the turf and go to a race like the Keeneland Mile, but they opt to go back to the dirt, and can't blame him. The best race of his career have come on the dirt at Churchill Downs.
Mystic Dan will be looking for another big performance on Saturday afternoon, going off as race number 10. We've got Willie D's there for Mike Mager. We've got Hit Show for Brad Cox, who's coming off another big weekend last weekend. Disarm, Banishing, some of the best in the sport, locking horns this weekend, Caleb.
Yeah, I've got my eyes on Disarm, because he's by Gunrunner, and we know the Gunrunners continue to improve. Look at Sierra Leone last year. Now, I got to say, with Disarm, I was disappointed in his 4-year-old campaign, but he is better at the age of 5. And as for Banishing, I know the Eclipse Award, they don't have this award, but if they did, the Iron Horse Award, the War Horse, the winner of the War Horse this year is Banishing. Guy runs every time, 9 races this year, 8 exactas, nearly beat Mindframe in the Churchill Downs Handicap, which is arguably the race of the year, wins the Charlestown Classic, was winning the big race at Oaklawn Park. So Banishing, you know, Jacobson not afraid to run his horses multiple times in a sequence. 10th race of the year coming up. Here is my War Horse of 2025.
Tyler Gaffalione set to ride there, coming off a win in the Charlestown Classic. Last win at Churchill was back at the back end of last season in November, and has the highest career by speed figure of the field with a 106. And off the back of 2 very impressive wins, could have been 3, looking to make it 4, but we'll look to make it 3 on Saturday.
And trying for that 10th victory, a horse that formerly was in some, I don't want to call them claiming races. They were optional claimers, and he was never quite in her for the tag, except once. There was one time in his career where Banishing was available to purchase, and lucky for the connections, nobody bought him that day.
Prince of Power is the 4 as well. The Lukas Classic coming up on Saturday afternoon. The rich can get richer. Notable career earnings for entrance of the Lukas Classic. I tell you what, Caleb, there's some serious money rattled up between these 5 foes.
I've got my biggest upset of the year as Hit Show winning the Dubai World Cup. What? Hit Show at 40-1 winning the Dubai World Cup over Forever Young, who, you know, was one of the top Japanese horses over the last maybe decade, and really was coming in off a nondescript 3rd. And even Hit Show didn't fire after that race in the Stephen Foster. He was a distant 5th. So when I look at some of these horses, Hit Show, that might be my most puzzling result of the year, that 40-1 upsetter in the Dubai World Cup.
Win a race like that, certainly going to build the earnings. I'm sitting there with $8.5 million, and we'll look to make a little more this week.